Welcome back everyone to today's edition of Fat Talks. I'm your host today, Miss Ganyana Shiva, and today with me in studio we have a very important guest, Mr. Hilary Baguma, who is taking us through the topic Mastering Digital Marketing, Unleashing Your Brand's Potential into the Online World. So Hilary was still taking us through how it is being a brand manager, and we are moving on to Hilary. I want you to give us some pointers on how do you know, what major setbacks have you encountered as a brand manager? Now we are done with the rosy bit of it. I want to know what problems you faced as a brand manager.
So as a brand manager, no problems at all.
No.
No, yeah. So seriously though, so this is where it gets real. So it's really exciting being a brand manager. I have to really put it out there for you, and partly why is because of the impacts that our efforts have, and I think I've gone through that quite a bit. So it's really exciting work, but definitely cannot be devoid of setbacks, and the biggest one I'll tell you is from the environment. Like, some of the things are beyond your control. We do not market in a vacuum, so you have say political pressure sometimes that could have an impact on your marketing plans and activities. Economic issues like taxation, for example. Financial year could change, and then new taxes just cause you to have to adjust the plans that you had made. For example, get you to increase prices when you and like that literally affects the consumer, because we're a relatively price sensitive market. So things like that. There's so many things that are going to be beyond your control. The social construct, for example, So some things could change. Some things which are important 5 years ago and are not important now. There are some things that were the trend 3 years ago.
So you also have to keep on educating yourself on what's trending.
Exactly. So the dynamic nature of the industry is an interesting, is a setback, but it's an interesting one. You really have to be on top of the trends. Yes. You have to make sure that that you stay afloat even when there's inflation, even when like this bit of economic volatility. Then even consumer behavior changes. And changes quite fast. So we need to be able to be aware and be ahead of those changes, to understand and empathize with the consumers consistently. And I don't know if there's like enough data to just inform to give that information on where consumer trends are.
So how do you get that information? Is it you just search, or are there particular portals you can check, or forms of research that you use?
Yeah, so you have to do research. You have to do research. You have to keep your ear on the ground. You have to be empathetic, to listen as much as possible to the consumers. And what they say. So on the digital front especially is where you're going to get a lot of information, a lot of interaction with the consumer. So it's important that you're responsive as you possibly can be. It's important that you just continue to watch and to listen to what they're saying, because they always guide you right. The consumers will always guide you right. But the challenge, it's a bit of a challenge in how do you ensure that you have all that information, you have it in the right time and in the right way. So there's also a bit of like a knowledge. I feel like marketing has a marketing problem, if I may say.
Really?
Yeah, because we actually make sure that we grow and improve the perception of all these brands that we work for. We make sure that we promote effectively, the brands are known and loved. But as an industry, I feel like marketers are misunderstood. Like, I feel like it's not really understood what our roles are. So some organizations might not really understand and give the right level of resources to marketing function. I'm extremely fortunate to work for an organization that understands and values the role of marketing and brand building. But I really empathize for marketers who work in organizations that really don't. So yeah.
I'm going to talk as someone who, because I'm not in the marketing industry,
Yeah.
but I would say that maybe sometimes people look at it as, do you need that much money to push around our flyers or to push out our brand?
Yeah.
So sometimes people may not understand.
Yeah.
So these things actually cost.
Absolutely. So there's really a knowledge gap, and once. And I'm glad that Smart TV, for example, is doing this, like on Fat Talks, to just give that knowledge of what marketing actually really entails. Yeah. So such that people in finance people don't not look at marketers as just people who are going to spend their money.
Yeah.
And and procurement people looking at us as people who are just stressing them all the time. And HR people wondering, why do we need to hire another marketer? So yeah, it's important that we have a clear understanding of the role of marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Still on that question of setbacks, because I know sometimes probably you faced it before, or you've had colleagues who faced it. Sometimes you will push out a marketing strategy, a branding strategy, and it just doesn't work. So
Yeah.
what are those telltale signs that you can know that what this strategy is not working, it's unsuccessful? Because I know you rely a lot on the crowd and what the consumers are saying. So how can you tell that your branding strategy is not working and you have to switch lanes?
Cool. So that's I'm glad that you've asked that question, because it's also important to be aware when things are not working. Things may not always work out. But yeah, every marketing activity, every marketing campaign has to have objectives. Yeah. So if it's reach that you're going for, how are you going to get your reach? What activity do you want to inspire among the consumers? Yes. What's your call to action? Like, what do you want them to do about whatever you're communicating? Are you converting? Are your communications turning into actual revenue and actual sales? Is there engagement? So if, let's say, you've put out your communications in different digital channels, are people actually responding to them the way that you so it's very clear. All your objectives have to be set up. So if your objectives are not being met, that is how you know that it's not that you're unsuccessful. And it's important that you regularly track against your objectives.
Progress,
So it's important to know just a few weeks in, a few months into your campaign, and not necessarily to wait for the end to assess the level of success. Yeah, it's important to just keep monitoring how what level of change and impact your campaigns are creating, your activities, and you would know in time. So you would know if they are generating the sales that they're supposed to generate.
Yes.
Is your market share growing? Is your share growing as a result, or not? Is your equity improving? Not. Yeah. Is the brand becoming more meaningful? Do people really know? Are consumers knowing it for what it's supposed to be known? Is it getting the awareness? So, and mostly on digital, you could tell from the level of engagement. You could tell from the reach that's getting. You could tell from the even simple things like likes, like growth of the channel. Yeah. So, and even sentiment. By the way, you can tell the vibe, like the reaction your consumers have towards a campaign that you've put out. Are they feeling it? Are they not feeling it? Do they like it? Do they not? Are they comment or positive? Are they negative or neutral? So yeah, you can actually really tell if you're being unsuccessful.
Yes.
And the best thing for a marketer to do in that case is you need to be okay to pull down a marketing campaign that is not working.
Wouldn't that get you in trouble?
No, because and it's often hard, difficult, because you get put all this work in and you get attached.
Yes.
But if something is not working, you cut it. because you remember you're using an organization's resources.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you're going the wrong direction, going faster just makes it worse.
Okay, so you'd rather cut and
just cut,
try something new.
start again, plan, and then execute again.
Okay, that's the first time I'm hearing
Yeah.
Okay, but that's good. So still on the topic of setbacks, what do you think are the limitations of online marketing? Because I know we're now in the digital age.
Yeah.
Almost everything is online, you know, you can shop online, all the ads are online for you, but we are coming from, at least I grew up in the era where, you know, marketing was so physical. Someone puts a flyer in your face, like people come out handing flyers out. So what are those limitations that you faced with online marketing?
Okay, so Shiba, why didn't you ask me about the advantages instead?
I'm going to ask about
no, but
the
anyway,
advantages.
yeah. So I think the advantage is actually clear. Like,
Yes.
yeah, they're very easy to see. Yeah, like because online digital marketing has really grown leaps and bounds in the last few years. But the limitations are quite a bit, like in terms of the infrastructure. Like, you know, how well does things like internet speed, for example, are they supporting are they supporting digital marketing in its entirety? The extent of reach. I'll give you an example. Twitter is about what, like 600,000 people on Twitter.
Yes.
So, and yet it has the potential to be so powerful for brands. Yeah. So it would have been so much better if the reach was, let's say, 10 or more times compared to the population of the entire country, or at least, let me say, the addressable population, the number of people who can buy or consume the product or brand that you're putting out.
Yes.
So, like Meta, Facebook, and Instagram is about what, like 3 million. So you see, even that reach is a bit low. Yet when you want to communicate, when you want to put your marketing on digital platforms, you want to get as much reach as possible.
Yes.
Yeah. So you find that even the resources becomes a bit more expensive to do, for example, direct buys. And then there's also a bit of like a knowledge gap, if I may say. Like, do people have the skills to do the web-based? And yes, they are there, but you know, like compared to what the market needs, how much skill is there to effectively carry on digital market. So I feel like it's one of the setbacks. Then also you mentioned that it just continues to change. It's so dynamic. The digital world is extremely dynamic. So the level at which we understand it, especially the new things, there's also a bit of a limitation there. So yeah, do we have the capacity to properly understand and take advantage of all these digital tools that have come out? Yeah, give AI as an example, artificial intelligence. Like, how are we leveraging that? Yeah, and that would even lead us to be able to create our own, if I may say, like our own tools to guide on this. So it's really quite a bit. And there's also the fact that it requires resources. Yeah, like when you need to invest some money behind your digital marketing channel mix. Yeah.
Okay, so it's the limit, but I would say that the advantages outweigh the limitations. Would you definitely say that?
By a very big measure, yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so as someone who, if I'm interested in tapping into this industry, what kind of skills would I need?
Okay.
To tap into, to become a digital marketer? I have the interest, but I just don't know where to begin from.
Okay, so what you need is the interest.
Oh.
Yeah, but seriously though, you need it's important to be able to have strategic thinking skills. Like, you need to be able to think about things insightfully. Remember, we market for now and also for the future. Yeah, so you need to be able to have that the ability to think strategically. You need to be able to analyze data information. We don't market in a vacuum. So what does your environment tell you? What do your consumers tell you? What are the things around you saying? So you need to just be able to interpret all that data. You need to be able to, first of all, know how these channels work. Yeah, you need to know how the channels work. So as I've said, the biggest issue, most people think that digital marketing is actually social media, but it's just one of them. And you need to know which channels are going to work for you. Like what's a reason that you're using YouTube? What's the reason that you're using email marketing? What's the reason that you're using direct buys, for example, programmatic? Yeah. So you need to be very certain about what every channel you're deploying, what it's going to be. So it's important to have that knowledge of how what it is. If let's say you're going to use search engine optimization as your preferred for one of them, it's how well have you mastered how to optimize it and how well you know how to use it. So that's also very important. And also the fact that all these digital channels are interlinked, like they do not work in isolation. Think of them as like little Venn diagrams, like your social media approach is connected to should be connected, for example, to your email marketing, should be connected to your direct buys, should be connected to, so they should all be connected. And in the grand scheme of things, they should also be connected to even your other channels, like your above the line. Yeah, and they should not work in isolation. Then there's also understanding the metrics. So we mentioned that control is important. Like how do you measure and ensure success? How do you know that your campaign is not being successful before it falls on your face? Yeah. Yes. So you need to be able to measure in a timely way, to understand the matrices, and also to be able to stay on top of them. Then other skills which are very important is responsiveness. Like you have to be responsive. You have to understand the consumer, listen to them, and react. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And there's others that are important, like copywriting. Like you have to have an eye for good copy. Like you have to like the captions and the wording and things like that. So you have to make sure that the simple basics are met.
When you say copywriting, do you mean it in essence or the legal term? Because I'm a lawyer, my senses just went.
Yeah, so it went into I understand.
Into the legal meaning of that.
So for the first one, you say copy just means words, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So how do you craft your words? Like how do you write, basically? Yeah. So are you tone deaf? You should not be tone deaf, for example. If let's say people are going through something, you should not act like it's not. Give an example of during COVID times. So there's a lockdown. There's disease going around. There's people worried about their futures, like real genuine concern. So when you're communicating, how do you communicate? You don't act like you don't care what's going on. You know what I mean?
You have to read the room.
Yeah, read the room. Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. So it's important to have an eye for when the room is read right, or when things are written the right way. Because you communicate through words, but even visually, like the stuff that you put out, your key visuals, your graphics, so you have to, there has to be a skill of somebody who visual. Like, give an example right now, video is really growing in terms of how much engagement it garners. So still versus video will get you a lot more engagement, but do the people who are doing your graphics have the right skills to do the right video, right? There's times when I'm sure you've seen a key visual, you're like, no way, these guys, how do you do graphics like this? Who approved this to go out? So there's a whole host of skills, but but ideally those are the key ones.
Would you say that if someone needed to acquire these skills, can they be self-taught? Are there any courses online that they could consider signing up for, or even institutions that teach this sort of thing, or it hasn't yet caught on in that?
No, I think it has totally caught on. It has totally caught on. At least it's so much better now. You could easily study marketing and digital marketing, CIM. I think there's even marketing courses right now. There's marketing courses right now in universities, and centers and stuff like that. But YouTube, right now we have the opportunity to get as much information as possible from YouTube, from TikTok, so you can find the information. And one of the reasons why I was so quick to say interest in the beginning when you mentioned it is because when you're interested in some of these things, you really get there. You can get that knowledge from.
Look for
you can find it, and you find people who read terms and conditions. How often do you ever read terms and conditions of those apps?
Rarely.
I think because you're a lawyer, you would read them. But anyway, no. But you find that even just reading that manual could just give you an advantage on the knowledge of how to use it, for example, to apply it. And also, just trying new things. I think you can really easily learn. They're taught. You can self-teach. You can work with people who already know how to use them and get knowledge from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's a whole bunch of knowledge. So I hope everyone is listening. Those of you who are interested in tapping into the digital marketing industry, Hilary has just been giving us some pointers and skills on what you need and the skills that you require to be a digital marketer. I'll just want to remind the people on Twitter, in case you have a question for Hilary, kindly just type it in the comment section and we'll get it to you. If you want to speak directly, you can request to be unmuted and we'll give you speaking rights. And we also want to remind you that we have a poll running, so kindly check the comments and tap on what statement you think is true about our guest today. As we wait for the results, we can move on with the interview. So, Hilary, do you find anything wrong with the digital marketing tactics that Africa is adhering to, especially Uganda right now? Like, are there any loopholes that you see, or?
So before I answer that, I'd just like to call out the fact that there's a lot of improvements.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who are actually doing very well in terms of digital marketing tactics. I've seen companies and organizations that are doing things online and digital spaces, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. So very many people are actually doing very, very well, and they're really good digital marketers out there, good marketers that are really doing things very, very well. I've seen people use search engine optimization extremely well, pay per click. You've seen people do. There's a company. Whenever I put on my YouTube, like there's an ad popping up.
That's true.
You'll see whenever you open your email, for example, and the way they communicate is really not even intrusive. So fact is that people are doing extremely well, and there's also been great improvements. There's just a few things that I feel like we could do better. So one is the strategic intent. I feel like sometimes, and I may be wrong, but my general sentiment is that sometimes we need to get the strategy right before we get into the tactics we're executing. So give an example of are you using the right element in the mix? Do you really need to use the channel that you're using? Are you using Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook just because everybody else is using it? Do you really need to be on YouTube for that particular campaign, that particular thing that you're selling? So strategic intent, it really has to be strongly put put at the forefront.
Yes.
Then and because it takes resources to do this, so it takes time, it takes money. So would it be better, for example, if you're not going to gain as much from let's say Twitter, to reprogram those resources into search, yeah, as an example, or into content marketing, or do you need to perhaps dial down on your affiliate marketing and dial up your influencer marketing as an example? Yeah, so the strategic intent hope to see how to deploy those resources, right? Then consistency, yeah, so consistency. I've seen some good campaigns, but it seems like a start and stop, and so that you don't really get to create the memory structures that you must in the minds of the consumers. So consistency also really helps. Also, the way that I've seen people communicate on digital channels, it should be more consumer-led. I've seen campaigns that are talking about the product, the brand, like they're always talking about. Yeah. So yet at the end of the day, we're all doing this for the consumer. Yeah. Then pushing the envelope a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, to make to be more disruptive. Yeah. To something that when you're scrolling down, you have to like wait a minute, you scroll back up as an example. Yeah. So to be more disruptive, to push the envelope a little bit. I would also like to see maybe using more tools, like how do you incorporate AI, artificial intelligence, in your digital marketing. I would like to see more of that. I'd also like, because we have...
Are there any companies using, out of Uganda, of course?
No, even in Uganda, yes.
Using AI?
Yes. Like Uganda really does. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we do.
I see what you've done there.
Like we do. I'm because I've seen that the efficiency actually really goes up if you're using some of these tools.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Good.
Yeah.
It's
exciting. It's really exciting if you use some of these tools, because you find your efficiency growing.
Yes.
You find the response that the consumers have to your communications also improving. Then, so the other thing I'd also like to see is influencer marketing here in Uganda. I feel like we could
be better.
Like I feel like sometimes it's not well optimized. It's not well optimized. I feel like perhaps influencers should be empowered more. You get what I mean? Like to create more content, paid better. For example, they should be paid better because they put a lot of time and resources in creating content for these brands. Yeah, and I think once that happens, you'll find that they will create better, more authentic content.
The payment incentives are more lucrative, or
I think it is, because you've seen influencers do excellent work.
Yes, that's true.
You've seen influencers do excellent work. You've seen brands that have actually been lifted, campaigns that have been well delivered by influencers doing who have been deployed very well. And you could tell that there's positive impact from the role of this person. But you've also seen campaigns that where the influencer has either been not deployed the right way, or chosen a wrong influencer.
Yes, that happens a lot as well. So exactly. I actually wanted to ask about that, because sometimes you'd have maybe you'd have a company, an organization, it has a particular crowd it wants to appeal to, to market to, and then they probably get an influencer who that's not their forte, that's not their niche. Yeah. And then the whole campaign is a bit...
It just seems lopsided.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's important that an influencer speaks to their audience, because influencer marketing is just simply that. It comes from influence, and part of the things that create influence are like authenticity. Like already this person or this individual is communicating to their audience in a certain way. Yeah. Yes. Communicating a certain, they already know them for this or for that. Yeah. And I've seen campaigns that literally want to change what an influencer is talking about and their style, just because they got them for the number of followers that they have, or they are following, things like that. So you need to pick your influencers, for example, the right way, So and then have them deployed effectively. So there's that shift. It would be nice to see a bit of an improvement in that, and also the amount of money that we put behind these digital platforms.
Yeah.
The investment also needs to be commensurate to the objectives that we're trying to achieve. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hilary. This has been so insightful. I hope our audience and our listeners have been able to follow up on those nuggets that Hilary has given us today about digital marketing. I personally have learned so much because I started this interview thinking digital marketing was something that was just about social media, but it's more than that. It goes into email marketing. What is that thing? It's a chat, search optimization. Search optimization. So there's so much, there's so much that goes into it, and I would urge people, those of you who are just joining us, I would urge you to catch the recorded interview on our YouTube channel at Fidelis Leaders or on the Smart24 TV YouTube channel. You can be able to get all these nuggets that Hilary has shared for us. So at the beginning of this interview, we played a little game called One Truth and Two Lies, where Hilary gave us 3 statements, one of which is true and 2 were lies. So we're supposed to guess which one of the statements is true. And the statements were, 1, he has been working for UBL for over 5 years. The second one is he personally met JJ Okocha. The third one is, out of the 10 spirit brands with the highest equity in Uganda Breweries has 8 of them. So which one of the statements is true?
Is that when do I do the review now?
Let me just look at the poll and first see how people voted.
Really curious about.
Yes. So just give me a minute. We're checking the poll. So 43 people say you have. 43% of the people say that you have been with Uganda Breweries for 5 years. 14% are saying that you met JJ Okocha, and 43% have sided with that UBL has the most spirits when it comes to equity. Yes. So there's a tie for the first statement and the last statement.
Okay, interesting.
So, yes.
So out of the 10 most loved spirit brands in this country, Uganda Breweries has 6.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's actually interesting. So we have the highest number of loved brands.
That's good.
It's actually the same with beer brands. I think we have 7 out of the top 10 most loved.
Wow.
From Uganda Breweries.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
The marketing is working, surely.
Yeah, gladly. Then I have actually met JJ Okocha.
Oh wow!
Yes.
What? So we got it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's session. Yeah. I'd just like to remind you that the Fidelis Leadership Institute is having its FAT Fellowship Leadership Training starting on 5th August 2023. It's a 16-week fellowship program. Please apply. The applications are open. Check our website, those of you who are interested, and I'll